Some of it's fake, but it's pretty nuts the extent that Guardian went to. Those were his packages that he sent.
Sounds like one of our Patreon packages that we put together.
Oh, that's a good idea for the
We
future,
should
Rob.
that should be one. Yeah, we send Rob will write up something about Chinese people and the Greys working
that's
together.
Probably not good to do in this day and age.
Oh boy, yeah. We'll workshop it. We'll work
on that, you guys. Well, see, okay,
Fine.
so this is what
Make
pisses
it
me
the
off about
Irish.
things like this.
Make it the Irish. No one will care.
Why?
The Irish. Because we won't get in trouble for that one.
Why not? I think he still could get in trouble.
He's digging it. I think he's just digging. He wants the hole to be a little deeper.
Well, this is Guardian.
Why not? Let's just attack Mexicans now. Why not?
This is
Let's
Guardian,
attack
all right?
Italians.
Guardians
Sure.
in Canada, he didn't have enough Mexicans to mess with, but there were some. Maybe you'll lump him with China and the Greys, which I've never heard that before. That was just
that's
debut
true.
conspiracy.
I've never heard about that, but this is what makes me
Diane,
angry.
that's fine. We're coming over.
Like they had something somewhat credible to go with, and then they had to just overload it and throw in extra stuff and extra things. Like, oh, well, this part looks fake. Turns out you forged it. They could have just They could have actually been believed if they would have just shut up and stuck to their one thing.
Kind of calm down a little bit. Yeah. Well, let's.
I hope we're gonna talk more about the picture of the alien.
We'll get to that, but let's hear our expert weigh in just on these documents.
There was some question immediately with regard to the authenticity of the documentation. It didn't look like it was a typical government document, even Canadian government documents, of which I had no familiarity at the time.
This document is clearly a fabrication. There are way too many errors in the document to make it authentic. Someone with very little effort could have come a lot closer than this.
Oh, man. And Bob isn't even familiar with Canadian documents, and he knows that this is fake. You can just tell, and he's never seen them before.
They even shit on it. They're like, go extra hard. He's like, anybody could do a better job than this. This is garbage. This is trash. Like,
seriously, not much attention to detail. If you really think you're going to pull one over.
I've seen finger paintings pass classified quicker than this thing. This is straight garbage.
Crayon drawings better.
That was them. Yeah.
Yeah, crayons, right?
But like you said, they think. The split here is that they think that the event and the film are real, but the documents are a complete joke. China would never join the Greys. That's racist. But what about what Rob wants to know about? What about the pic of that alien dude? You guys saw that. Why don't you tell me what you guys thought of the alien pic from Guardian?
God.
Oh, definitely didn't look like it wasn't a mask.
It'd make a cool T-shirt. It would.
Yeah, I mean, look at the technology that we had available to us that year. The kinds of things. One of the pieces of evidence that was sent in originally was a freaking Polaroid. So
it's like a photocopy of a Polaroid too. So
right,
okay,
yeah.
The picture of the alien. It looked like someone made a scarecrow and then put an alien mask on it and put two white leather gloves on its hands and two...
It looks like they stuck a CD to its mouth or something. It doesn't look like right around the mouth.
And then it looks
weird.
like they just jammed it into the corner of a dark room and took a picture of it.
Yeah, it's got like a button
and that's
shoved on
pretty
its
much
face.
what you see.
Let's see what the experts think. Real or not, what will they say?
Also included on the videotape are obscure images which Guardian claimed show an alien being.
Clearly, this could have been someone dressed up in a costume, but that posed a major question. If, in fact, the video images of the disc were authentic, why would anyone contaminate such an extraordinary event with fake images of alien creatures?
So, yeah, they assume that the alien's fake, too. But that's what makes this case confounding, you know? Like, this guy gives a good summation of the overall takeaway from Guardian. Listen to this bit and we'll talk.
The stories that he writes to go along with the events don't seem to match the quality of the event itself, if that makes any sense. These stories are rather far-fetched, and yet the events are seen by credible witnesses.
See, he could have left the tape and he would have been a legend. But he went too far, right?
Exactly. Yes, flew too close to the sun.
It always happens.
It does.
It always happens.
It's like just quit while you're ahead. Like don't do so much. Don't be so eager to throw everything out there because look, you just ruined your own credibility.
He just tried too hard and he did it. He dipped into unbelievable territory. And the story isn't even like that fantastic either. It's not like the abductees of the 50s, and there's no like nobody's getting seated, and there's no giant conspiracy. It's just he went a little too far. The tape would have been enough, I think, to make this a more enduring and believable case.
I'll say it again, though. At no point in any of these tapes does it ever fly.
Well, yeah, that's
never.
true. Yeah.
It never flies, and they're so convinced that this thing is a flying saucer.
Well, wait, reenactment it flew. It flew as a
she
reenactment.
saw it fly. I'm not guessing. I'm not saying that she lied.
She described that it was flying, didn't she? We just maybe didn't see it in the video.
She said she watched it for 10 minutes, and we only see this minute-and-a-half version video that you can
Rob.
See. Look up, if you just want to see the video itself, because you guys have like heard us talk about it, just look up the Guardian UFO film. It's about a minute-and-a-half long, and you'll see what we're talking about.
Yeah, I think she witnessed like a drug transfer happening in her field with like helicopters and just
a drug transfer that happens with strobe lights because they want to attract all the attention in the world.
Well, they put flares down. I think someone put flares down.
For drugs?
What have you ever heard? Maybe, I don't know. Sometimes they need. I guess if it's in the middle of nowhere.
Rob is a seasoned drug dealer. He knows that if you want your targets to come and get the drugs from you, you have to set up flares and strobe lights.
I'm thinking like cocaine. I'm thinking like cocaine cowboy style. I'm thinking like
Canadian
one of those,
cocaine cowboys, the CCC, maybe.
Yeah. I'm just saying, maybe she witnessed something that it looked like a UFO experience, but maybe it was just something else going on. I'm not saying she's a liar.
No, I mean, drug dealers like to be kind of like a secret, but I get what you're saying, kind of.
I don't know, Miss. I don't know, Miss.
Why would you want to pull attraction to yourself?
Yeah, why are you pulling an attraction to yourself? But that's all they know about this case. This is a case with real and fake evidence. Guardian? Who is he? Well, we're going to get the final word now from Bob Exler.
In spite of the dubious images and questionable documents, many experts believe that the events shown on the tape did indeed take place. What really happened in the fields of West Carleton? In the wake of its brief appearance during the summer of 1991, the strange luminous object left only questions. Questions perhaps the person called Guardian alone can answer.
This is either an extraordinary, top-secret flying vehicle of somebody's government, or it is of a non-human origin. Having no contact with Guardian is probably the biggest frustration to an investigation like this. We don't know who Guardian is, what Guardian represents. We don't know if Guardian was sent or went on his own. We have no idea what the solutions to many of these mysteries are going to be. We may never know.
We don't know.
Whoa, we don't know. And look, I got a new one to add.
We don't know.
Yeah, and you can add this on. Play the next soundboard clip.
We may never know.
There you go. Try to play them back to back. See how close you can get them.
We don't know.
We may never know.
Yeah.
Oh, the unknowing continues. It's a saga now of unknowing.
And I apologize.
We may never know.
We don't know.
I apologize if you were doing the drinking game in that last clip because they said Guardian about 50 more times.
Yeah, I took a drink. Just cumulatively, like, all right, that was 3 in a row. I'll take a drink there.
All right, I'm going to open a new one, and I'm going to play the next clip. I don't know, this was fun. Here's just a little Guardian super cut I made to remember Guardian by. Let's hear it and drink for this one.
Oh boy.
Using the name Guardian had prior knowledge.
I think Guardian, I don't see Guardian as a UFO investigator. Guardian is much more involved in this.
Person called Guardian.
With Guardian, we don't know who Guardian is, what Guardian represents. Guardian was sent or went on his own. We may never know.
Well, I'll tell you what, that was way too fast for me to do anything more than just chug the entire time.
Just chug it during it. That was great. Now, if all you know about this story, which is all that I've ever known about this story, is from this, you might just buy that Bob Exler guy is a legit investigator. But unfortunately for him, the other experts who studied this case were very, very quick to expose this dude after taping of Unsolved Mysteries. Do you want to hear? Yeah.
Yes,
the
please.
actual. So QFORN, or it's like the Canadian equivalent of MUFON. I think they're called QFORN, Canadian UFO Research Network. That sounds right.
QFORN.
Okay.
QFORN. We'll call them that. If it's wrong, look, don't at me. But They did just a great case study of this that you can find to this day, and there are some segments of this that are really going to change the way you're going to feel about this Bob Exler guy. And here's an excerpt from that. On May 10th, Mother's Day, 1991, Torontoans Tom and Lisi Theophanous and others met with Exler, his son, and that guy Graham Lightfoot that we heard. And they met at the hotel the Exlers were staying at in West Carleton near Ottawa, Ontario. They all had breakfast together as Exler told many, many fascinating stories. Eventually, they ended up in Exler's motel room, not creepy, to compare their copies of the Guardian video. And this is in quotes. This is a quote from someone. Exler, despite being an expert in video analysis, had a great deal of difficulty connecting any video camera up to the TV set in his room so that we could play back the Guardian videos. In retrospect, his combination of technical ineptness and more storytelling seemed to be a stalling tactic, said Tom.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, man, that's embarrassing.
Yeah, typical.
Yeah, so Tom is supposed to be this, he's coming off as this great investigator and a video editor, and he can't even hook up the TV set in his motel room to compare his tape to investigate this.
Not a good look.
Exactly. Like, if you're so on top of stuff and really dedicated to this research, you should have some kind of know-how when it comes to the technology aspect.
Yeah, and he's just stalling them with his technical ineptness. It just uses a stalling tactic. Rob, you know your video stuff. You would be able to pick this out real quick, right?
Yeah, it just sounds like he's having a bad day. He can't get his stuff working. It happens, man.
Yeah, it's like
but
this doesn't normally happen to me like this.
It's like a dad trying to hook up a Nintendo on Christmas. He's like, I don't. Yeah, things are weird. It's
I can feel like the frustration level just from hearing the story, and it's making me frustrated over here.
Are you frustrated?
Even though everything's working fine with my equipment, but I can feel it.
Your stuff.
Listen. We don't have time for this right now, Drea.
Guardian's son is there too, so he's got to be embarrassed. But also, this same group, they were following a map by Guardian. That's what the whole reason they were there, and they were having a rough time finding the area of that '89 crash. So they end up going to lunch without Bob Exler, and then this happens. This is from another Q4 report about the day they looked for this crash site, and it says in quotes, 30 minutes later, as Exler and his son were walking through the door, I jokingly said, I bet he'll say he found the spot. As he sat down, I asked him what happened. He smiled and said he found the spot. I asked how he managed to do that when we'd left him about a mile from his car in a dense swamp halfway to the alleged site, and it was getting dark. There simply hadn't been enough time to get there, examine the site, and get back out to his truck and drive to the restaurant. He just smiled, but didn't answer.
Yep, that's the mark of a bullshitter for sure.
Oh, yeah. You guys go ahead. We'll find the spot real quick. Just go to the restaurant. Guys, we found it. You wouldn't believe it.
Yeah.
We checked it out.
And I totally saw a UFO that same night, too. Yeah. It was crazy.
And if you guys would have followed, we wouldn't have found it. Definitely, you can't look at
out there, too.
Yeah, probably.
He might have. That might be in another report. But here's some more of that day's events. And this day did not go well for him. It says in quotes, Lisi, Wayne, and I confronted Exler out in the parking lot where the three of us had gone to discuss the day's events privately. I asked him what he was trying to pull here. He responded by asking, what's wrong with trying to make a buck? I answered,
oh, my God.
I answered, well, there's nothing wrong with making money as long as we didn't compromise our ethics. Exler came back with, no matter what or how good the story is, 50% of the people will believe you, 50% won't. All you have to care about is the 50% that will. It was at this point, recalls Tom, that I decided to back away from the investigation for a while to see what Exler would do. I told Graham about the conversations that I had in the parking lot of the restaurant with Exler. After he left the restaurant, the Excellent, god damn it. Then
yes.
Lisi, Harry, Wayne, and I left for Toronto, on our heads, just shaking their heads at him. This is how he is. This is how the people who had firsthand knowledge of him. These are things he's saying, man. He's saying he's just trying to make a buck. What's wrong with that? 50% of people are going to believe it. 50% won't. Let's just worry about them. He's selling a phony story to legitimate Q-form investigators.
Yeah, what a piece of shit. And that's another thing that kind of bothers me is people who will just pull statistics out of their ass. It was like, oh, 50%, 50%. Like, no, probably it's going to be, especially with your ass, it's going to be like 15% believe you. And then, 85? I'm not good at
hold
that.
it. You just hold it right there.
Yeah, you hold it.
Yeah, fuck